All right, welcome back to the channel. As we get ready to ramp up the training here and get closer to my first ever triathlon, solo at least. Today's video, I'm gonna take you along the run and some of the training. We're gonna do a run into a lift session. We won't go too crazy on the lift session. We'll just work out the rest of the body after we've given the legs a beating on this run. So it's gonna be fun, but I'm gonna bring you along and kind of tell you a little bit more about what I'm attempting this year, what my goals are, and how I plan to go from never completing a triathlon to breaking an hour in a triathlon in 1 year. So we'll see how this goes, and yeah, let's come on for the ride. It's going to be a little more of a vlog style video than the last one, but we had to start it off with a bang last week with that 1 hour push-up challenge. This week, we'll get into maybe some of the more regular content as we get ready for this triathlon. All right, so something I'm trying to do here as I get closer to the race, let me pull you out a little bit, is it's building a little more speed work, and not speed work in like 200s or 400s or anything like that, but actually do some speed work with miles, because the race is going to be a 5K. A little bit about a sprint triathlon. Your standard triathlon is a swim, a bike, and then a run. You got those three events, that's why it's triathlon, right? There's various distances, right? You got sprint triathlons, that's the shortest obviously. Then you got Olympic distance, that's what they race at the Olympics. And then you have half Ironman and Ironman, obviously half Ironman being half of an Ironman. The Ironman's kind of that classic, super intense triathlon. And that's the one that a lot of people try and go for and, have dreams of ever completing. But I'm starting with a sprint triathlon. I've never done a full sprint by myself. And my goal this year, my first ever attempt at a sprint triathlon coming up in a week or so, I have a year to train from there to then try and break an hour. Which breaking an hour is kind of I don't want to say necessarily the best of the best, because sprint triathlons are weird in that a lot of athletes don't even do them. But breaking an hour is like a huge kind of milestone, something that people talk about, how would you ever break an hour in a triathlon like that? So a sprint distance, at least the sprint distance I'm doing. Now sprints have kind of the biggest variance I've noticed, as far as there is no set really distance for a sprint. In general though, they are a 500-yard swim followed by a 12-mile bike, ended with a 5K. And that's what mine's gonna be. So it's not, on paper, it's not a ton. I was a competitive swimmer all growing up, so 500 yards, that's not even really a problem for me. We do 1,000-yard sets in workouts, and most workouts were probably 4,000 plus yards, in the middle of the season. So not too worried about the distance on that. Beyond that, we've got the 12-mile bike. I've done a lot more miles than that on a bike before, but the 5K run was the thing I was most worried about. So that's what I've been most training, is I kind of said, well, I don't like running typically. A 5K is longer than I've ever raced. I mean, I raced, friends in the mile. You'd be at school and you'd run around the track, but never really done a timed 5K in any official capacity. So that's going to be interesting. And that's why I've been training it so much. So I've been working a lot in the past, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I've been working some in the past months. Let's be real here. I haven't worked out every day the past 3 months like I probably should have. But I've been working out and kind of focused on low heart rate training, right? Trying to build that base of aerobic fitness so that, it was easy to run distances. As we get closer, we're bringing down the intensities. I was doing a lot of kind of bike into run sessions. I'm bringing down the intensity. I'm not doing as many of those. I have actually in the gym done the bike into the run and ran the whole 5K and did the whole bike. So I know I can do it. But right now I'm trying to work on a little bit of speed. I'm doing the 5K distance, but I'm kind of not really sprinting the first mile, but running the first mile and then walking the second mile and talking to you all. And then I'm gonna go ahead and run the last mile. So run 2 miles out of the 3, but at a little higher pace, right? So from training, I don't know if I'm gonna actually be able to do this, but we'll see. Day of the race, I typically work out after I've been at work all day, so not quite as fresh. The other thing is, I live in Redding, California, which means I'm running most of the time in the afternoons in close to 100 or over 100 degree weather. Today's actually, I don't know, it's like a balmy 95 or something. So it feels cool, but that's obviously affecting my pace and how far I'm able to get. But, even in the gym where there's air conditioning, and I'm running on the treadmill, which is a little different, right? And I'm running for a workout, but my goal is to try and hold about 10-minute miles. And from my training, I don't think that's going to work, but we'll see. I haven't done like a full 5K off of a bike here in a few weeks. So hopefully I've gotten faster and maybe I can do that, but that's kind of my goal. But with these, I'm trying to, break under that kind of that 9-minute mark for the 2 run miles. And then, who cares with the walk mile? But we're getting back to the point where I need to start running again. So I'm going to put you all away, and I'll see you in the gym. All right, so run done. Welcome to the weight room. I'm trying to get these 2-a-days in. I'm getting 2 workouts in a day. Really build that endurance. Get my body used to performing, not only when it's, peak, when it's fresh, when it feels good, but also performing when it's tired, right? Being able to dig deep and, continue performing after there's been some weight put on, some actual fatigue has been involved, right? So we ran the 5K, did kind of a run, walk, run kind of a setup, and that actually went really well. Felt pretty good. Broke 9 minutes, did like an 8:44 to go out. The walk, I don't know what it was. I stopped to get some water at some point, so my timing got a little messed up there. I think it says it's 20 minutes, but walked the middle mile and then came back in about a 12-minute. So very happy with that. I think overall as well, at the end of that 5K, I actually felt like I had more in the tank. So I could have gone, I thought about going further, but I knew I was going to do a bit of a weightlifting session. With the triathlon, I got to hit, there's a lot of different muscle groups, right, that are getting hit. A lot of different angles on the lower body with the biking and the running, but swimming, got to keep that upper body strong. And really the swim, it's very important to try and limit how much fatigue you put into your legs in the swim. So make sure that you have good body position in the water, and just keep a nice easy kick, but put most of the weight onto the upper body, because, well, you're not really going to need the arms there for the bike or the run as much as you will for the swim. So use that strength in your upper body for the swim. It's going to be a big strategy of mine here for the first ever one. As far as triathlon training, I did actually do a team triathlon last year. Last summer, I got a couple of buddies and I did the swim leg of that sprint triathlon. Now that was a modified sprint. It was actually a little longer than a sprint. The bike was about 16, almost 17 miles. And the swim, I think, was about a 750. And so still a 5K run, but I did that swim, had a lot of fun with it, had a lot of fun kind of getting back into training. And then after that, didn't really train a whole lot. I got busy with a new job and some other life events. And so really kind of fell off the training wagon again. And so I said, you know what, let's jump in and let's do a triathlon. When I came to this year, to right now, this is what I'm calling the start of the year, because I'm embarking on this year-long personal challenge. So if you've seen maybe the announcement video for this whole challenge, because I'm not just doing this fitness channel, I've got a few other YouTube channels and a few other projects going on, doing a big personal challenge this year. And if you've seen that video, link will be in the description if you want to see that side of it. It talks more about some of the business things I'm doing this year. I've started my own company. A lot is changing. But in all of that change, I wanted to make sure I was focusing on my health, on training, on staying in shape and getting back in shape, really back to competing again. I'm a very competitive person. I love racing. And so when you get to, out of high school, if you're not on a college, athletics team, triathlons really fit my, competitive nature and the types of competitions I've done over the years as a swimmer. A lot of people talk about the swim being the hardest part of the triathlon, and I have to say I'm going to disagree. As a swimmer, I think it's the easiest. But we'll see how this year goes. But this year, I decided to, while all this other stuff is going on with the business and quitting my job and all of that stuff, I wanted to, focus on training and have a training goal to go along with this business goal that I talk about in that other channel. And so that goal, from a fitness perspective, is to break 1 hour in a sprint triathlon next year. So basically a year from now, I will be doing the same triathlon that I'm doing in about a week. I'm going to be doing it again, and I'm going to try and break an hour. So what does it take to break an hour? Breaking an hour is quite the feat. If you look it up on Google, how do you break an hour in a triathlon? Who's broken an hour in a triathlon? There's definitely plenty of people out there that have done it. It's not, something that's astronomically crazy or even just like the number two. It's not something absolutely crazy. It is something that has been done. It's something been done by multiple people and is done every year by multiple people in races. Again, a sprint triathlon is a 500-yard swim, or at least the one I'm doing. Again, sprints have a bit of variance depending on which triathlon you go to. But the one I'm doing is pretty standard, at least for what I've seen as far as the most common distance. It's a 500 swim. It is a 12.2, I think, mile bike. And then it is a 5K run to end it off. So that's 3.1 miles, 3.2, 3.1 something. I don't remember the exact conversion, but that's the distances. So when I kind of approached this idea of, okay, can I break an hour? What kind of times do I need to hit? If you break it down, my goal and what I'm hoping to do that'll about break the hour, average under 7-minute miles, hopefully come out actually substantially under the 7 minutes, but we'll see. If I can average just about 7-minute miles, come in at 21 minutes, average 24 miles an hour on the bike. If I do that, that's about 30 minutes. So add those together, we got about 51 minutes. Give yourself a couple of minutes for transitions. I picked the triathlon I did specifically because it is possible, I think, to break the hour. Some triathlons, even if they are sprint distances, just aren't possible to break an hour because transitions are too long, or there's too much elevation, or the track has, too many turns on the bike. You can't get up to speed real well. You got to break into all these turns. So there's different, parameters that affect it. And so there's only a few triathlons that are even possible to break an hour. The one I picked has those shorter transition periods. It's fairly flat. Overall, it's out on the coast, but it doesn't have a beach run. It has an actual just road run, which is important because if it's a beach run, good luck. Good luck breaking an hour with a beach run. If anybody's ever done that, I'm not sure if anybody has, with the full distances that I'm talking about. And you probably add maybe 3 minutes for transitions, about a minute and a half for both of the transitions. So 9 minutes, now we're down to 6. If I can break 6 minutes in a 500 swim with doing these other feats, there's your broken hour, right? So that leaves me 6 minutes for the swim. Breaking 6 minutes in a 500 on its own, not terrible. Something I'm very capable of, very confident I can do. Holding 24 miles an hour on a bike, because of the style of triathlon this is and how flat it is, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be very hard. That's probably the most difficult part. But if I can do that, then averaging 7-minute miles coming back, that's, all of the pieces I think are individually feel attainable to me. But put them together, do them back to back, have those transitions go really well. That's going to be the struggle. That's going to be difficult to do. That is the goal, right? Break an hour. That's how I plan to do it. Those are the times I'm looking to do. That's the pacing that I'm looking to hit. We'll see. I'm very excited to do this triathlon solo for the first time. It will be the same triathlon that I'll be doing next year, so it'll be a little bit of practice for it. I'm definitely considering towards the beginning of the summer, so this is, an end of summer triathlon. I'm thinking about next year trying to find a good sprint triathlon to do at the beginning of summer, just to practice. If not, I'll definitely be practicing it, in the pool myself and in the lake maybe, just so I can get used to it. We'll see. We'll probably schedule a couple of triathlons throughout the year just to stay prepped and to kind of document and keep up to the pacing of where I'm at on this, journey towards breaking an hour. But other sports, you focus on power, you focus on those fast twitch muscles. In a triathlon, you don't want to do that. You want to focus on those more long distance endurance kind of muscle building. And so I keep the weight fairly light and do lots of reps, right? Because that kind of emulates what I'm going to be doing in the pool, on the bike, on the run. I think it's very important to have a dry land. I call it dry land because I'm a swimmer. So, anything that's not in the pool is dry land. But to have a good weight routine. That way I can kind of build muscle and that augments and helps with the more cardio training, because really this is 3 cardio sports. There's not a ton of power used. Yes, a 5K is not a super long distance, and breaking 7-minute miles, which is what I'm hoping to do eventually over the course of a 5K, that's going to take some speed, right? That is some speed, but overall, these are all 3 very just cardio heavy things. And so strength training can really help that kind of base cardio, first of all. Typically, when I'm weightlifting, I'm staying in that zone 2 cardio everybody talks about to build that base, where hopefully I'm just able to hold that lower heart rate and just go forever, right? And so weightlifting can help with that. And then it also just builds muscles. There's certain things, especially when I first started running, to avoid injuries to my knees, my shins, right? Shin splints, runner's knee, these kind of common injuries that come. One of the best ways, at least I've found, to kind of combat that has been strength training. Doing squats, calf raises, things like that, because they're low impact, right? When you're running, you're kind of dropping down and you have these kind of high impact moments there. And so by adding some strength training, I can build the muscles around those joints, and that helps avoid those injuries so fast. That's why a lot of times people will talk about, hey, when you start running, start with sprint work or start with something where you don't have as much impact or as heavy impacts. Walking is great because that's low impact. You're not falling down. But jogging when you're slow, it's a problem. So yeah, I found strength training really helped me avoid injuries this time around. I've started running before and I would always get shin splints. But this time when I started the running part of this training sessions, I made sure that I was running short distances. I tried to focus more on speed work. So, run, walk, tempo changes and things of that nature, so that I wasn't just slowly jogging for miles and miles, because that limits the number of impacts. The other thing I did was strength training. I got in the gym here and I did a lot of squats, a lot of lunges, a lot of calf raises. I noticed my calves were one of the weakest parts. They were something that would consistently give out on me as I was running. They would always cramp up, always tighten up, had some circulation issues because my muscles were so tight. So by adding some strength training in to build the muscles around the joints, to strengthen them, and then the other thing, and this is something I've been notoriously terrible at my entire athletic career, and that is stretching. I don't do it typically. I've been terrible at warming up, terrible at cooling down, terrible at stretching, but it really is important, and I've really noticed by adding in about a 30-minute stretching session every single night, huge leaps and bounds in my training and in my progress, just by stretching, just by getting that elasticity out. It's especially important for endurance type events like a triathlon to have good elasticity, well-stretched muscles. You've got to keep your circulation going the whole time. So that is kind of my strategy with weightlifting. I don't do super heavy weights. Sometimes I do, but my typical session is going to be fairly low weight. I mean, I've only got, 15 on either side of this bar, so 30 on this bar. We're looking at 75 pounds for bench right now. I can bench way more than that, but I'm doing it for 20 reps, basically 3 sets of 20, as is what I'm doing right now for my bench set. today. I like to mix it up. I like to keep it fresh, but by keeping it lower weight, but jumping up those reps, right? That way my muscles get used to, again, performing over and over and over and over again without, tiring out. And so I've noticed a lot of benefits from it. I think low weight, lots of reps. Obviously you need to mix it up because you don't want to just overwork something. Your injuries of just too much repetition of the same movement is definitely a concern. So mix it up, mix up the weights. You don't want to just get good at like a specific weight or a specific number of reps, because that's something that can definitely happen when weightlifting or even running, right? If you just run a mile every single day, your body's going to get good at running that mile, but it might struggle to run 2 miles, or it might struggle to pick up the pace and run a half mile in a good time. So keep that in mind, mix it up. I like to mix up the training a lot, lots of different types of sessions. That way my body never really gets super ingrained with, oh, I'm just really good at this one bench press motion, right? Hit it at a few angles, do some inclines, do pull and push sets, right? Things that are pretty common in the fitness industry. Everybody kind of talks about it, but I think that's really important, and that's kind of my strategy for training. I need to hit the weights and get ready for this first one, the first ever triathlon I've ever done solo. So I'm going to get to the weights, and we'll see you next time.